We're following breaking news tonight on Fox 5 News at 10. A driver hits nearly 40 people on the Las Vegas Strip tonight before taking off. I'm Elizabeth Watts.
I'm John Huck. Here's what we know right now. One of those hit was killed. Police say a woman ran onto the sidewalk in front of the Paris Hotel and hit these people. She then took off and headed toward the Tuscany Hotel Casino down the street where she was arrested. We have team coverage tonight with every angle of this story covered. Nick LaGrange is in the newsroom. Les Crifton is at UMC where some of the victims were taken.
Abby Tedros is live from Tuscany where the driver was taken into custody. But we begin with Fox 5's Christine Medella. She's live from the scene in front of the Paris tonight, and we are waiting for a press conference right now too, Christine.
That's absolutely right. We are going to get an update from Las Vegas Metro Police here shortly. I want to walk out of the shot and show you. This is down in front of the Paris, and you can see normally a busy street in Las Vegas here heading northbound down Las Vegas Boulevard. Right now it is shut off to all traffic. Las Vegas Boulevard still closed from Harmon to Flamingo, and you can see there are still several police cars out here. In fact, the sidewalk, which is often busy with pedestrians and many ramps here in front of Planet Hollywood and the Miracle Mile shops, is also closed off. Police told me this is considered a crime scene here, and they don't want anyone tampering with any of the evidence. And this is what we know right now. The driver was heading northbound on Las Vegas Boulevard, heading down this way when she went off the street and onto the sidewalk, and that's when she hit several people. Now, a witness told me she stopped there for a moment on the sidewalk after she ran up and hit people on the sidewalk and then took off again, and that's when he started chasing her, trying to stop her and trying to warn other pedestrians. And this is someone I talked to who had just made his way out of the Planet Hollywood. So this is a preliminary investigation. Police have personnel from all different areas of their department, from homicide in case they determine this was an intentional act. They have the crime accident detail out here, as well as their counterterrorism unit, because they want to make sure Miss Universe was going on or just letting out at the time of this crash, and they want to make sure they're investigating all possibilities. So again, we are expecting in just minutes an update from Las Vegas Metro Police, and when that happens, we will be sure to take that live and let you listen in so you find out exactly what's going on, just as we do. Back to you guys.
And Christine, this got underway just as the Miss Universe pageant that was just on our network just finished up here. It finished up on the Strip. A lot of people were coming out from that. The Strip was hustling and bustling tonight when this happened.
Absolutely. In fact, I was inside at the Miss Universe pageant watching that and got word of this, ran outside as fast as I could to see what was going on, and saw all the police presence as well as the ambulances taking injured people out after that woman hit 37 people. One of them died on the scene. And so you had people pouring out from Planet Hollywood trying to get their cars, trying to get in their cars from valet, from the self-parking garage, and they weren't able to because police shut down this entire stretch. And listen in to, we talked to a witness as well as an update from police about just how massive a situation this is.
I'm in my own world, gambling and whatnot, and it took me a second to realize what was going on. And, at first it's accidental, whatnot, you have that thought, but once you see her stop and take off again, now it's like, okay, this is incidental. Now it's a problem. And so all I could do is just chase her down the street and yell and scream as loud as I could, hey, get out the street, move.
This is a huge tragedy that has occurred on our Strip. And that's one of the things that we have brought all of our investigative components out. We have our fatal detail here. We have our homicide detail here. We also have our counterterrorism here to ensure that we have covered all aspects of this investigation to rule out any type of thing, whether it was intentional homicides here. If it is terrorism, we have a counterterrorism unit here to ensure. We are not stating that it is terrorism. We're not stating that it's intentional, but we have all of our investigative components here to ensure that we have this investigation locked and stocked by the end of the night.
And that was just from Metro Police Department the last time we got an update. And again, we are expecting here in just minutes another update from Las Vegas Metro Police. Hopefully they'll be able to shed some more light on what they've discovered. That driver They arrested her, and she is being tested for alcohol and drugs, so they're trying to figure out what caused this massive crash on the Sunday night here on the Las Vegas Strip. Back to you.
All right, Christine, we will get back with you as soon as Metro gets in front of the cameras out there. Christine, thank you.
And after the crash, police say the driver drove over to the Tuscany Hotel and Casino, which is a few minutes away from the scene.
That's where we find Fox 5's Abby Tedros live from there for us tonight. Abby.
Hey, yeah, we've been here for about an hour now, and police have remained tight-lipped, but as you can see, we are very close to the scene, and we have seen several witnesses that we spoke with. They tell us that they saw a woman in that parking lot behind us in handcuffs and later escorted into a cop car. If you look behind me at this scene, there is a lot of police activity. This is where witnesses say they saw that woman in police custody, and another witness actually saw a little girl who looked about 3 years old, and she was with police. She says the witness said that the little girl was the daughter of the driver. We have not been able to confirm that, but that is what the witness said, and she was later in the car during the accident.
I would say she's probably about 3 years old, and
So
from what
toddler.
yeah. And she was in the car with the mother, and from what I understand, she's not going to be able, the mother isn't going to be able to call anybody, so they'll take the little girl to Child Haven or someplace. But it's very sad.
Again, as you can see, we are really close to the scene, so we got a fairly close look at the parking lot behind us, but this entire time that we've been here, we haven't seen a car with visible damages or police investigating any particular car that may appear to be the car that was driven by the driver. And we are also told by Metro Police that there is a suspect in custody who is being tested for being intoxicated. Reporting live from the Tuscany, Abby Tedros, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
Abby, thank you.
Imagine not only putting all those people's lives at risk, but your own daughter that you subject that to.
Yeah.
It's just an unbelievable story.
Ugh.
15 of those victims were taken to UMC.
Nearly a dozen ambulances delivered those patients to the trauma center there, and that's where we find Fox 5's Les Crifton live from out there to tell us what he's seeing tonight. Les.
Yeah, Elizabeth, John, I'll step out of the picture here for you. It's quiet now, but I got to tell you, around 7:30 this evening, this place, it was, controlled pandemonium because there was just ambulance after ambulance coming in here, bringing people who were hit on the Strip into the UMC hospital here. And while it looks fairly quiet outside, as we mentioned, of those who were injured, 15 were brought here. We have the latest breakdown on them. Of those 15 who were brought here, one has died. 2 are in critical condition. The rest are in serious condition. UMC spokesperson Danita Cohn says the trauma center had no problem handling the rush of patients.
We were prepared for this to happen. We are the trauma center, so we are prepared always for this to happen. A typical activation, a full activation, is about 12 people surround a patient at one time. If we need surgeons, we have 3 operating rooms in the back, and the patients can go right back to surgery. So far, none, though, have been taken back to surgery.
And in many ways, that is a good news. Now, from what we have been told of the 15 that were brought here, it was a mix of male, female, obviously. One child, 11 years old, who is listed in serious condition. And many of the 15 who were brought here are French Canadians from the Montreal area. Again, things quiet here. The UMC trauma team working hard to stabilize all of those people who were brought here earlier this evening as a result of that car crash, which happened on the Strip at around 6:37. This evening. Reporting live outside UMC, Les Crifton, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
Les, has the hospital said whether there's been a problem communicating with the victims here because they are from Canada, the language barrier and all?
They did mention that there was a little bit of a concern here that some of the people did ask to see if there were translators who could speak French Canadian or French, and they were looking for somebody at the time, but they seem to have said that most people were of the injured fairly good spirits, and that they were being able to communicate back and forth with the staff here at UMC.
All right, Les Crifton at UMC for us tonight. Les, thank you. And some of the victims were also taken to Sunrise Hospital.
And we are waiting for that police press conference. Let's go back out to Christine Medella. She's live in front of the Paris, where Metro Police expected to update the press, update us on what the latest is out there.
First and foremost, I'd like to send out.
All right, we have an issue there. We will come back to that if we can get it.
Can we go back up?
Event up here. I do want to clarify one thing right off the bat. Initial reports had come out that there was gunshots. That is not true. There was no gunshots up here. And second of all, we know that this was not an act of terrorism, and we've ruled that out. So those are two things we know. What we have so far is we had a vehicle drive up in front of the Paris up there and along towards Bally's, at which time it struck numerous pedestrians who were walking on the street. Our counts initially that we have, and these are cursory counts, we had 12 victims go to Sunrise Hospital. We had 11 victims go to UMC, and we had 3 victims go to Spring Valley Hospital. Our counts right now, and this is through the fire department numbers and our transport numbers, is we have 6 victims that are critical, and we've had 1 victim that has succumbed to their injuries. The two ways we're looking at this, and we're looking at our investigation twofold, is number 1, was this an intentional act? Or number 2, was this an accident? Due to the area we're in with numerous cameras belonging to the hotel, surveillance cameras, and our regional, our RTC cameras, we will comb through that footage to get a detailed idea of what occurred. Right now, from what we know, we're looking at it as possibly being intentional. We just received that information. So that is just the initial word we've gotten, the way we're looking, but we're going to look at all angles. Our fatal detail and our homicide detail are working together like they do on numerous investigations to make sure this is done right and we leave no stone unturned. With me also is Lieutenant Dan McGrath, who heads up the homicide detail, and he can brief you a little bit more on how the investigation is going to go.
Right now, Lieutenant Dan McGrath. Did you say the people were hit were in the road?
Negative. They were walking as pedestrians on the sidewalk in front of the along the between the Paris and Bally's, and they were pedestrians on the sidewalk. They weren't in the roadway.
And you said the car hit them on the sidewalk, went back in the road. They hit them on the sidewalk, went into the road, back on the sidewalk. Is that correct?
What our initial investigation shows that there were 2 areas where pedestrians were hit on 2 separate parts of the sidewalk. So it was prior to the driveway that leads into the Paris in front of Planet Hollywood, and then over in front of the Paris. So we had 2 separate locations where the vehicle did go down into the roadway and come back up onto the sidewalk.
Are there any traffic signals at those places where pedestrians were hit?
Yes, there's a traffic signal that leads right into the Planet Hollywood and the Paris that controls traffic leading along the Las Vegas Boulevard, and I believe it's Paris Drive.
Was the driver of the vehicle injured?
I don't know about the injuries to the driver, but the driver of the vehicle, we have somebody detained. We do know that there was a toddler in the vehicle with the driver who's 3 years old, and that toddler is unharmed. And that driver is being detained, and like I've said, we're still conducting our investigation and trying to figure out how and why this occurred.
A little boy or a little girl?
Female driver, female toddler?
I don't know the genders of either.
What about the breathalyzer?
The way our investigation would run is we have a drug recognition officers that would check to see if the driver of that vehicle was under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and we also would either take blood or breath in regards to see if they were intoxicated.
Sir, is that a child?
That I don't know. It was definitely not a child. It was an adult.
Sir, a witness just told me that the driver went onto the sidewalk, got off the sidewalk, got back onto the sidewalk, and sped up and slammed into that second group. It does sound like you just confirmed that by saying that this happened in 2 separate
Correct. It was in two separate locations. I do not have the info that you spoke to the witness with, but we do know it is two separate locations. And yes, the driver did go from one location into the street and then back onto the area where pedestrians were in front of the parish.
Any idea?
That I don't know.
Any idea if she was targeting a specific individual or just targeting pedestrians in general?
That I don't know, and I don't know if she sped up. We have our fatal detail and our people out here work the speeds. So if there is any evidence, we would be able to determine.
Is there a time frame? We're going to have Lieutenant McGrath come up and speak to you guys about if you have any witnesses or anyone who might have any information.
Okay, so we know there was hundreds of people out here. We have about 20 witnesses along with the 26 or 7 people that were injured. So if anybody's out here tonight that sees this, we're going to be out here most of the night. Just find a police officer, and we would like to talk to you and get a statement from you if you actually were a witness to this. If not, then tomorrow you can call the homicide extension. It's 702-828-3521. 702-828-3521 for anybody if this is tomorrow, and we will set up an interview for any other witnesses that are not weren't able to come tonight.
Lieutenant, is this considered a homicidal act?
If it's an intentional act, yes, that would be. That's why we are taking the criminal part of this at this point.
What about the traffic restrictions down here and for people coming in and out of the hotels?
There's not a question about traffic restrictions. From what I've been told, this person went up onto the sidewalk and drove on the sidewalk and then went back on the sidewalk again. So there's no pedestrian error involved if they're trying to bring that up.
Is there I mean for drivers.
By the driver?
Yeah, as soon as she's officially booked.
Is she from Las Vegas?
She maybe have been here for at least a week. So that's a question. She said, that's what the information I got is she may have been here for a short period of time, but she's not from here. It's just a recent move here, so that might come out later.
Would you help identify the type of vehicle involved? Is this a sedan, an SUV, a pickup truck?
I was told it's a 96 Oldsmobile, which I believe it's a vehicle, just a regular vehicle, not an SUV.
Is it Nevada registered?
No.
As far as traffic restrictions, if you could walk our viewers through how long this might be closed, where the closure points are, and getting in and out of hotels on the Strip.
That's yet to be determined. We're gonna have to wait until the fatal people are done with their measurements. It's just like any other investigation where there's been a number of people injured. So they have to measure and see all the different points where people were injured. They're already marked, and that's going to be hours. I would expect to have those closed most of the night.
The 6 people that were critically injured, was that the first time or the second time she went on the sidewalk? Were they all close together?
That's going to be it that we can answer right now. Real quick, Chief Zimmer has one more statement to make.
Once we put the pieces together on this investigation, we'll get you as much as we can tonight as it comes to us, and also Sheriff Lombardo will do a full brief tomorrow, press conference, to update everybody on how it's going. But right now, it's just there's a lot of moving parts. We're still checking on conditions of the victims and trying to piece everything together on how this occurred.
Chief, how many of the injured are children?
That I do not know.
We know that there are children injured, yes?
No, I don't know the ages or the genders of the children.
Thank you very much, folks. We appreciate it. We'll brief you guys.
Thank you.
Is there going to be, what is the next briefing? Did you already answer that? Is it at 11? Okay.
Metro Police briefing reporters out on Las Vegas Boulevard about this evening's accident, really a homicide out on the Strip where one person has been killed, 36 injured, 6 of them in critical condition. The headline in the news conference tonight, this was not an act of terrorism. They have ruled that out. The vehicle went up on the sidewalk in front of the Paris and Bally's twice, hitting pedestrians, not once, but twice. The woman described not from being here, maybe moved here within the last week or so. Apparently, she had a 3-year-old toddler in her car with her, a 96 Oldsmobile. She is undergoing DUI tests right now, but the police say this was an intentional act, and they're investigating it as a homicide.
That's right. We'll be right back. If you're just joining us, we did just receive an update from Metro Police on what happened on the Las Vegas Strip in front of Paris tonight. They say a female driver with a 3-year-old toddler in her car drove onto the sidewalk, plowing into pedestrians, drove off the sidewalk, drove back onto the sidewalk, hit more pedestrians, and then took off. 37 people were hit. One of them has died. We have 6 more in critical condition tonight. They have ruled out terrorism in this case, but they do say that they believe this act was intentional.
Yeah, Las Vegas Boulevard in that area is going to be closed down probably for most of the overnight hours. And we've been receiving many videos, images, and messages from people at the scene tonight. Fox 5's Nick LaGrange joins us in our newsroom now with a look at what witnesses are seeing tonight and sharing. Nick.
Well, John and Elizabeth, this was and is clearly a very chaotic time on the Strip as police investigate several aspects of this crash there. As you mentioned, we've gotten a lot of images, so let's take a look at the video we've received so far from witnesses. These are video taken from cell phones from witnesses near the Strip. This was shot right in front of the Paris Hotel right after this crash happened. Obviously, a lot of first responders, a lot of police on the scene. That's what you see all over social media right now, a lot of flashing lights from those people who are responded to this crash. A lot of people on their phones calling, texting friends and family, making sure that those friends and family know that they are okay. Many people are checking social media as well. They were trying to figure out earlier just exactly what this was, because we really didn't for the longest time know whether this was a terrorist act, whether this was a random act, or if it was something bigger, somebody trying to intentionally go after someone else, a group of people in particular. You can see the first responders here in this video moving in to pull the injured out of the area, get them the medical attention that they need. There's a video coming up shortly after this that shows what appears to be an older woman being placed on a stretcher. Again, 36 people hit. One of those was killed, 37 total rather, 36 are injured. Many of those are facing serious injuries. This is that woman, again, I was mentioning a moment ago, being placed on the stretcher here. She's obviously one of the victims of this crash, and there's just all sorts of speculation. You can hear the speculation in the video that we get from these people as well. Again, people not really knowing what was going on. Again, we do know now that police do believe this was an intentional act. Again, they don't say it was terrorism, but they do believe that the person who drove onto the sidewalk twice was trying to go after these pedestrians. So do not go near the Strip right now. You can see this was the scene earlier, but again, still very busy right now. Police doing what they can to get this all sorted out. And they do have the driver of the vehicle in custody, again, running tests on her. They believe this to be a drunk driving incident. Metro tweeted just before 9 o'clock to expect delays on and around the Strip for several more hours tonight. So again, don't go near there if you don't have to. We will continue to monitor everything with this situation, obviously, and let everyone know what we know when we know it. Elizabeth and John.
All right, Nick, and police said earlier tonight that there are about 20 witnesses out there that they want to talk to and that they hope they come forward.
That's right.
Tomorrow. Nick, thank you for that. And we're going to step aside, take a quick break. We'll be right back.
We continue to follow breaking news on Fox 5 News at 10. A driver has been arrested, suspected for DUI after plowing into pedestrians on the Las Vegas Strip. It happened in front of the Paris about 6:50 this evening.
Metro Police met with reporters about 20 minutes ago. They described the scene here. The driver with a 3-year-old toddler in her car went up on the sidewalk twice, hitting these pedestrians. 36 people were wounded. One person has lost their life in this. They're investigating it not as an act of terrorism, but as an intentional homicidal act. We have team coverage for you on this tonight. We want to get right to Fox 5's Christine Medella. She is on the Strip with the very latest for us. Christine.
That's right. The Las Vegas Strip, a portion of it here on Las Vegas Boulevard, is still shut down from Harmon all the way down to Flamingo. You can see this crime scene tape out here still blocking traffic, and police tell us this will be shut down for quite some time because of the investigation that's going on here. Police tell us this is not related to terrorism, but like you said, John, they are investigating it as an intentional act. They do believe the woman who was driving northbound here on Las Vegas Boulevard swerved on to the sidewalk intentionally and hit a large group of people. She did hit 37 people. One person died here on the scene right in front of the Paris. This was also happening just as the Miss Universe pageant was wrapping up. So people attending that, people from all over the world, in town for the Miss Universe pageant. It's an international event. They were in town. They were coming out of the Planet Hollywood Axis Theater where the Miss Universe pageant was happening, and so people were filling the sidewalks here, and that's when the woman went up onto the sidewalk, hitting 37 people, and this is going to be a lengthy investigation as police try to piece together exactly what happened. Officers tell us there are several cameras up and down the strip, so they are trying to pull the footage from the cameras to try to see exactly what happened here, what happened those moments before the woman turned onto the sidewalk with a 3-year-old toddler in her car and hit all of those people. Now, I talked to a witness who described what he saw, and it matches with what police tell me.
The car came by like 2 feet in front of me, and I jumped back. By the time I realized what was going on, all I could see is people bouncing off the front of the vehicle. She came to a stop right over here at Paris Road. It looked like a bunch of guys were trying to punch out the window, and then she was at a complete stop, and then she took off again, and then as she started mowing over more people.
And that's what police say leads to their belief that she did intentionally do this, because she did stop. And that's why there are 2 scenes. She went up on the sidewalk, stopped, and then accelerated again and hit more people along the sidewalk here in front of the Paris. So this stretch of road shut down to traffic. All traffic is being turned around to head back southbound on Las Vegas Boulevard right here at Harmon. And for those people who have their cars parked inside Planet Hollywood, we're trying to get their cars out of valet. The sidewalk, the ramps are all blocked off, and people are not even able to get their cars and leave here in this stretch, to leave the parking garage here at Paris and Planet Hollywood. So it is causing a big traffic disruption as police continue to investigate. We are still expecting more information because this is a fluid situation here. As police get more details, they say they'll pass it along to us. And of course, whenever that happens, we'll be able to take it live right here on Fox 5. So you hear the latest updates as soon as we do. Back to you.
Just terrible that this happens on the Las Vegas Strip. People come out, they're expecting to have a good time, and then this happens. It's just terrible. Christine, thank you. And police caught up with the driver suspected of drunk driving and causing this crash at the Tuscany Hotel and Casino.
Let's get out to Fox 5's Abby Tedros. She is live from the Tuscany now with the latest out there. Abby.
Yeah, we've been here for a little over an hour now, and we've been told by witnesses that they actually saw this woman go into a police car. She was handcuffed, they tell us. Take a look at the scene behind me. You see a lot of police activity. That's where police say that this driver ended a very long and violent drive that ended here at Tuscany, Another witness saw a little girl who looked about 3 years old with police. That witness says that the little girl was the daughter of the driver and was in the car during the accident.
We happened to look out, my husband did, and we saw all kinds of lights and police officers and everything. And then we went outside, and there were people telling us that a woman crashed into about 27 people, and that was her little girl outside the door with the police officer.
Again, we're very close to the scene, but we haven't seen a car with any visible damage on it or where police have been investigating closely. We will let you know if that changes. Reporting live at the Tuscany, Abby Tedros, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
In fact, police do confirm there was a 3-year-old toddler in that car, Abby, but they're not yet ready to say whether this toddler was related to the driver at all, but I'm sure that will come out in the investigation in the days to come. Abby, thank you. Let's get over to Nate now to look at the weather.
Now, Fox 5 weather 24/7.
Thanks, John. Of course, we'll go back to the scene out there if there's any breaking news. In the meantime, let it get your forecast for your back-to-work Monday. It is a cool night out there. It's a mostly clear sky after we had cloud cover throughout the day. Quickly, your 10 o'clock numbers were in the mid-40s with light wind. Humidity up there at 62%. There's some moisture waves rolling on through. The barometer is rising at 30.11. Other temperatures, everybody's pretty much in the mid-40s. 49 right now, Henderson, 47 in Summerlin. The bottom line is Mother Nature is literally sending these waves of systems on through. through. Just as we've seen over the past several days, they are coming and going. Even as we look upstream over the next couple of days, yes, there's been some rain or snow. That's moving mostly to the north. There was a trace of rain at McCarran earlier in the overnight hours Saturday into Sunday. Mainly, we're watching this low pressure system that by Thursday, Christmas Eve day, we'll see the wind really whip up to maybe 40 miles an hour and much cooler temperatures. Earlier talk of a possible wet or white Christmas. There may be some rain possibly on Thursday night, Christmas Eve, but Friday, Christmas Day, looks to be mostly sunny. 44 for us right now. Denver is at 29. We'll check on your family and friends around the nation. 75 right now in Miami. You see that cool of cold air dipping down into the southwestern United States. For the rest of tonight, mostly clear, maybe the upper 30s in some neighborhoods, officially around 40. For Monday, 55, right around normal for this time of year. Sun and clouds coming and going just as they have been. If you're heading to the recreation areas, upper 20s up on the mountain, and 41 for the high, 59 out at the lake. And the Fox 5 weather 24/7 7-day forecast. Look at 60 for Tuesday, 58 Wednesday, then the wind whips up Christmas Eve. We'll be tracking Santa, and of course 50 with a lot of sunshine on Christmas Day, only the 40s for Saturday. And so, John and Elizabeth, back to you.
We continue our coverage of the Las Vegas Strip crash this evening, a crash that now police say was likely intentional. They're certainly investigating it as an intentional homicidal act where one person was killed. 36 people are hospitalized this evening.
They were rushed to different hospitals in the Valley, Spring Valley, Sunrise, and UMC. And that's where we find Fox 5's Les Crifton. He's live at UMC. He's been there for quite a while now. Tell us what it's like out there, Les.
Yeah, Elizabeth, John, basically it was standing outside UMC right here, and you can see it's fairly quiet, but around 7:30 this evening, there was just an influx of ambulances that were bringing here patients who were people, victims of that accident on the Strip that were mowed down. In all, 15 people were brought here to UMC. And of those 15 people, we know that one has died. 3 are now in critical condition. 2 have actually been discharged, and the rest are listed in serious condition. UMC spokesperson Danita Cohn says that the trauma center had no problems handling this rush of patients.
We were prepared for this to happen. We are the trauma center, so we are prepared always for this to happen. A typical activation, a full activation, is about 12 people surround a patient at one time. If we need surgeons, we have 3 operating rooms in the back, and the patients can go right back to surgery. So far, none, though, have been taken back to surgery.
And that is the good news. And again, 2 have been discharged from the hospital, but we have 3 in critical condition here. 1 has died, and one of those in serious condition is an 11-year-old child. Now, many of the people who were brought here, according to Danita Cohn, were French Canadians, and there was a little bit of concern about being able to communicate with the hospital staff, but it seems everything has been taken care of, and they are being cared for very well here at UMC. Reporting live, Les Crifton, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
All right, Les, thank you for the update.
And for many of us here in Las Vegas, this brings back memories of another crime that happened just 2.5 years ago, a shootout on the Strip that ended with 3 deaths. In February 2013, Amar Harris shot Kenneth Cherry while Cherry was driving his car on Las Vegas Boulevard near Flamingo. Cherry lost control of his vehicle and crashed into a taxi, which caused a huge explosion and fire. Cherry died, and the taxi driver and passenger were also killed. The court determined Harris was responsible for all 3 lives that were lost. Late this year, Harris was sentenced to death. Perhaps even more similar to tonight's incident was a tragedy that happened 10 years ago on the Strip. In 2005, 3 people died and a dozen more were injured after a man plowed a stolen car into a crowd of people on the Strip. The driver was 27-year-old Stephen Ressa. Ressa told police he thought the people on the sidewalk in front of Bally's looked like demons when he drove onto the walkway. In 2007, he pleaded guilty to 13 charges and was sentenced from 52 to 520 years in prison.
Governor Brian Sandoval expressed his sympathies to everyone affected by tonight's crash. He released a statement that reads, in part, I've spoken with Sheriff Joe Lombardo and will remain in contact with him as this incident continues to evolve and additional information is released. The state stands ready to help and will provide any assistance needed to ensure the safety of our visitors and residents.
We believe Metro Police will be updating us again with another press conference. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. This is a live look at Las Vegas Boulevard at Harmon. Las Vegas Boulevard shut down all the way to Flamingo after police say a woman drove her car onto a sidewalk and plowed into groups of pedestrians. 37 people were hit. One person was killed in this. Police say they have ruled out terrorism, but they do believe it was intentional.
As the investigation gets underway, there's probably no greater stretch of real estate that has more cameras per square foot than Las Vegas Boulevard. So Metro Police are going to have a lot to work with. They say there's 20 witnesses out there that they want to talk to and that they hope they come forward. The number for them is 702-828-3521 if you have any information about what happened tonight.
And this incident has been all over social media. Images flooding in from the scene of the crash video. Fox 5's Nick LaGrange joins us live in our newsroom with a look at what the witnesses were posting tonight. Nick?
Well, Elizabeth and John, obviously this was and is clearly a very chaotic time on the Strip as police investigate several aspects of this. We're expecting another news conference from them shortly, but in the meantime, we're going to show you some video that we got earlier from the scene. This is a cell phone video shot by witnesses who were there right after this crash happened. This is video shot right in front of the Paris Hotel. Obviously, a lot of lights. This is what you see all over social media right now. First responders, police responding to the scene. There's also a lot of people on their phones calling, texting friends and family, making sure those friends and family know that they're okay and that they were not harmed in this. Many people were also checking social media because for the longest time we really didn't know for certain what was going on. We didn't know if this was some kind of terrorist attack, if it was a random act, or if it was somebody who was just going after a certain group of people on the Strip. But obviously now we know solidly from police what they're looking into. They do believe they're investigating it as an intentional act. You can see the first responders here moving in to pull the injured out of the area and get them the medical attention they need. Here in a little while, you're going to see a video showing an older woman being placed on a stretcher. One of the presumably 37 people who was hit by this here is that woman here being put on a stretcher. When you listen to these videos, you can hear a lot of speculation from the people in the video. There are, again, a lot of people wondering what exactly was going on. We're hearing all sorts of numbers being thrown out there for who was hit and how many. Again, though, 37 people hit, 1 killed, 36 taken to the hospital, essentially, 2 different hospitals, and checked out there. Many of them are in serious condition still tonight. But do not go near the Strip right now. Obviously, still a lot going on there. Police need to do what they need to do to sort this all out. Police do say they have the driver of the vehicle in custody, and as we heard Metro tell us earlier, Sheriff Lombardo will have a full briefing of this investigation tomorrow, so we will look forward to that to get full details of this. We'll find out then who our suspect is and where the investigation goes from there. But there will be delays here for several more hours in and around the Strip. So again, if you don't need to go near there, just don't. We will continue to monitor everything with this situation, obviously. We'll let everyone know what we know when we know it. And again, if you have any information that can help police in this, call them, find a police officer, talk to them if you saw or heard anything that could help them in this investigation. John and Elizabeth.
All right, Nick, and we are standing by for a Metro News conference expected to get underway very shortly. Thank you for that.
And the pedestrians that were hit were taken to 3 separate hospitals: Sunrise Hospital, Spring Valley Hospital. 6 people are in critical condition right now. Hopefully they recover from these injuries. Let's go to UMC, where Les Crifton is live tonight with an update from that hospital. Les.
Yeah, Elizabeth and John, 3 of those critical are right here at UMC. We did have 1 person die, and there's an 11-year-old that's also here at UMC who was a victim of that accident. She is, or he, we don't know the sex of the 11-year-old, but is in stable condition, a serious but stable condition, and the rest are in serious condition. 2 have been discharged from the hospital, so that is good news. And, you know, there's a lot of people who are wondering about, you know, this is a Sunday, and how was the hospital like UMC able to handle this? Well, UMC has a couple of trauma teams on standby to handle any sort of major emergency, and they went into effect very quickly here, and they were more than able to handle the situation here at UMC with those who were brought in here this evening. Reporting live, Les Crifton, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
All right, Les, thank you for the update, and we will be right back. As we continue our coverage of the Strip crash that happened earlier this evening that killed one person and left 36 people in the hospital, we want to show you video now of the suspect's car. It's a 96 Oldsmobile parked in the Tuscany. Again, police told us earlier this evening that the driver of this car had a 3-year-old toddler in this car when she drove up on a sidewalk outside the Paris, not once but twice, hitting those people. They say this woman probably had been here for a week, maybe moved here from out of state. They really don't have a lot of information on her right now. She is under arrest, obviously, being tested for any kind of drug or alcohol use, but they are investigating this now as an intentional homicide.
And they are asking about 20 witnesses who police did not speak to out on the Strip in front of Paris that saw this all unfold. They're asking them if they're on the Strip to approach a police officer and talk to them right away, or if they're at home for the night, they went home or in their hotel room. Please call Metro Homicide. And that number, do you have that?
I do. It's 702-828-3521. Again, as Elizabeth said, 20 witnesses on top of the people who were actually hit by this person. And they're going to talk to those who are able to talk in the hospitals tonight, but obviously they want to hear those people as well. Here's a live look now. Las Vegas Boulevard still shut down at 10:57 p.m. this evening, and quite realistically, it will probably remain shut down through most of the night as police begin their investigation. We're just in the early hours of this investigation, and what led this woman to take this homicidal rage out on just bystanders on the Las Vegas Strip on a Sunday evening before Christmas.
Just terrible, and we appreciate you joining us tonight for all the updates as we learned about what was happening. We'll continue to stay on top of this, update you on fox5vegas.com and on Fox 5 News this morning starting at 4:30, and of course on all our social media platforms.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow.
Take care out there.